Good evening and welcome to Nsaka. All right, so it's a Thursday, another lovely Thursday. So excited, super delighted to have you back on the program. Of course, this is Nsaka, the show that comes your way Thursdays from 21 hours to 22 hours, right here as we get to bring different topics that are of human interest, that are of human nature. Now, this week we get to continue with last week's topic, obviously talking about what happens after somebody loses a spouse. This week's edition, we want to hear more of you, our lovely viewer. We want you to tell us your experience. If you have lost a loved one, what was it like? How was it like? If somebody in your family lost their loved one, how was the process like? Was there some cleansing, traditional cleansing that is done, or that is always preferred in different traditions or cultures? So that's what we are more of today in this week's episode. But hey, still not forgetting, we have Evangelist Shaabula, who is our guest, or let me say, a resident guest on this show. As we get to tap from his wisdom, we tap from his knowledge, and of course, I get to learn more from him because he has been a marriage counselor for over 30 years. You can imagine the wisdom that he has and the experience that he has accumulated. I am your host, Ansani Banda, and of course, together with Himba will be your host for this particular time. Evangelist, good evening and welcome. Good to see you again on a Thursday.
Lancy, good evening. Thank you so much. And to everyone that has tuned in, good evening. And we shall have a wonderful time. I'm ready for you. Thank you so much.
All right. Now, for those of you that have joined us or that are just joining in, please make sure that you like, you comment, you leave a comment on this broadcast, as well as share the broadcast so that the message can be shared to as many people as possible. And just a recap over what we discussed last week in terms of this particular topic. Obviously, we touched quite a number of issues, or we touched quite a number of things talking about what is supposed to happen when somebody loses a spouse, and many things to do with that. Evangelist, perhaps you can give us a recap. I will give you only a minute or two for a recap, and then we straight get into today's focus of the topic.
Thank you, Lance. Our topic last week was what happens after somebody loses a spouse, after someone loses a husband or a wife. What happens? What we said is that immediately the spouse dies, what is expected is what is called the cleansing. And we said the cleansing is an old time African tradition. It is a ceremony which is believed to free the widow or the widower from the spirit of the late spouse. And we said that in Tonga it is called Gusalaya, in Mambo it is called Kuzifya, in Lozi it is called Kuyokola, and in Valley it is called Uhuma. Now, we said this is done in order to drive away the spirit of the ghost of the dead person from the widow or the widower. And we said if not cleansed, if one is not cleansed, the way it is believed, he or she would never get married or shake hands with others or cook food for others or fight because of the spirit residing in that person or in that woman. And they should not have sex with the other person if they did not if they were not cleansed. They also dress in a widow attire, black clothes, they shave the head, and they also they make sure that the person is cleansed, either by actually throwing mini-meal on the body of this person that is left behind, or by washing herbal water or medicine or by having carnal knowledge or sex with a relative of a dead person. So, and the fourth one is whereby a young person will just, slide on the feet or the legs or the thighs of the lady or the gentleman. So these are the systems that are used in cleansing a person. If you are not cleansed, they believe that either you get mad or you should be punished by not actually cooking or by not getting married. So these are some of the cultures that we said actually they fight our human rights, and yet this is customary. This is what we have lived with. But if you go by the law of the land, according to the human rights, these rights are, as I said last time, Himba, Lance, and everyone else, I said these are the laws that you as citizens of Zambia, especially in Zambia, you can go to Parliament and challenge the Speaker of National Assembly and indicate to them that you'd want the following laws to change because they fight us as human beings, and you give your reasons. Then from that committee group of Parliament, the matter will be moved into Parliament for discussion, and then a law will be enacted. So that is the purpose why I'm bringing these insights, so that we can be aware of the negative law customs that fight us as Zambians. Then further than this, as I end, we also talked about the law of being intestate or dying intestate. That is dying without a will, and also dying, with that is if you die with a will, you've got a will. So what is it supposed to be there? I said there that out of the 100% of what you have, 50% will go to the children, and the 20% goes to the surviving spouse. It can be a woman, it can be a man. And then the other 20% goes to the parents of the deceased person. 10% goes to the person that was being looked after by the deceased. If there are no parents, then that 20% will be given to the children. On top of the 50%, they will add that 20%. If there are no dependents, that 10% will still go to the children or any other person that the law deems fit to give. But in most cases, it's the children. Now, these are the laws that fight us, and it is up to us to decide on what to do. So this is the topic that we have. So at this point, I'm inviting, it's back to Himba and also Lance for them to hit me with their questions. I'm ready for them.
Thank you so much, Evangelist Shaabula, for that recap of what was discussed last week. And it's so exciting that at least a lot of our cultural values, cultural practices, our tradition, it was really discussed, which is really a good thing. And it is helping us to pass our cultural practices and tradition from one generation to another. But then I'm so excited. And before I go any further, allow me to say good evening to the viewers, wherever come to Swilila, Uklikonso Komletu Mfila, to Anposhapo, and to Anisengela, to our program here Pansaka, Opotulanshanya, Kumariashi, which affect us on our day-to-day lives. As Lance has said, we have, and we are always blessed to have Evangelist Shaabula in the studio. But today, we are going to encourage our viewers to come in and share your experiences. We know a lot of people, they've gone through this situation. They've lost their beloved ones. They've lost their spouses. They were meant to survive. And we would love to encourage the viewers to come into the studio or write your questions through Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Would want to know what the community or what happens in our community. Evangelist Shaabula, before we go any further, there's one question. It may sound petty, but I'd love to know. Do really the dead come after the surviving spouse?
Wonderful. I would like to go back to the Bible. When you read the Bible from Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 5 and 6, says the dead know that the living know that they will die, but the dead know not. Their love is gone, their envy is gone, their anger is gone, and they've no part to the things of this world. Now, what does that mean? It means that a dead person does not know anything. That is why he is dead. He has not fainted. There's a difference between fainting and dying. Dying means separation of breath from the body. If you read Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, says, and the body shall return to the soil where it came from. And the spirit, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7, the Bible says, and the spirit will return to him that gave it, to God. So at that time, there is a separation from the body. So if there is a separation, then it means that the person is not alive. I'll give an example of a bladder or a balloon. The balloon can only be active if you put air into the balloon. It will bounce, it will fly because of the air. But if you perforate the balloon, you stick a needle in the balloon, the air will fizzle out. It will come out. Where does it go? Where does the air go? It goes in the atmosphere. Are you able to play the balloon or the game or football? You can't, because of that separation. So in short, the dead know nothing because the dead are dead and they've no part to anything that is here on earth. They cannot go to the wife. The dead person cannot go to his wife. He will be at the grave, into the soil. The body will be in the soil. Even if the children suffer, they've no money to take them to school or the hospital or anything, the dead person will not move in to help or to assist. Even if they've no home, they start scavenging and just moving around. They are vagabonds. The dead person will not assist his children because he has no part to the activities of this earth. He's already gone. So that is why we say it is the devil's teaching that the dead are alive.
Thank you so much, Evangelist Shaabula. Anyway, I wanted to hear your comment on the dead, because I heard you commenting that Abantu, you go and you do a lot of those activities after the loss of your spouse, and then it's to get rid of the ghost, to get rid of the dead. So I just wanted a bit of clarity. Our dear viewers, as we come to you into your home right now, it doesn't mean that we are intelligent and we know more than you. We believe there are people outside there who know more about these situations we go through, and would invite you to come into the studio and share. You may just be serving a soul somewhere, or you may just be talking to somebody. We are just here. This is a chat where we want to interact and share ideas. It doesn't mean we are intelligent. It doesn't mean we know it all. We'd also want to hear your experiences and learn from you. Evangelist Shaabula, many a times we concentrate more on these traditional practices, how do they call it? Insambo yamfwa, to come and ask what happened, fish fiachitike, all that. But I would also want us to concentrate on the well-being of that spouse who has remained after the loss of their beloved ones. What do they go through as individuals psychologically?
What it is, Himba, I'll deal with the custom again.
Yeah.
You know, I'll deal with the custom. When one dies, what really happens? What is it that happens? It is an opportunity in our society to be able to hit back at the surviving spouse. People would want to find out how was their marriage relationship? How did they live in that marriage? Was it peaceful? Did the gentleman marry lawfully? Did he pay lobola? Did he pay it all? Did this person die a natural death, or it was the manufactured death? Did this person die with the pubic hair on his abdomen? If that is what happened, it is also a punishment. They also want to find out, was that person hospitable? Was he kind? Was she kind? So all these questions are questions that are put on the surviving spouse, which should not be the case. Because when that person was alive, if ever you wanted, you would have sat down with that person to resolve those problems. But they wait until the end of the life of the other person, so that they start now victimizing the surviving spouse. Now, when somebody is sick, when somebody is dead and the surviving spouse is left behind, it is supposed to be the responsibility of the family members to ameliorate the suffering of that person, to help that person pull out or come out of that situation, to encourage them, to support them, and give them hope that you are with them. And then it is not something that death is not new. It has been there, so they'll pull through. With our support, with our encouragement, then these people, they'll be able to stand up and move. Now, Himba, sometimes you find that the person that has died left behind children and a mother. Now, this surviving wife and the children, you find that the property is taken away from them. The house is taken away from them. Sometimes the car is taken away from them, and any other property is taken away from them. The children who were going to school in a car driven by their father or by their mother, they stop driving, they stop going to school in a car. They move from that mansion to a single quarter or a servant quarter. Sometimes they move to the village without electricity, without cold water, without lighting, without whatever it is. So now, what does it mean? It means that the funeral has actually begun. Not at the time when their father died, but now that they've moved to experience a new life. This is what we should not do, especially you young people that have gone to school. The problem in most cases, Himba, it lies with the ladies, with the women. It is women that victimize their fellow women more than men victimizing women. So in this lesson, in this program, we who are listening to Evangelist Shaabula should run away from victimizing the living spouse and treat them well the way we would also want to be treated. Mind you, Himba, when you treat the other person, you must know that you'll be treated double. If you mistreat somebody, you'll be mistreated double. So it is our responsibility to change the dynamics of this nation or Africa, where we actually victimize people on account of the death of their spouse.
Thank you so much, Evangelist Shaabula. Is it really in order for people when when the other spouse or the other partner has been promoted to glory, is it right for them to say, no, your partner died with pubic hair, we are going to charge you because you didn't finish the bridal price, we are going to charge you because you didn't? Is it honestly right? And what impact does it have on the surviving person?
First of all, it is wrong to bank on the wrongs of your sister-in-law or your brother-in-law so that you use the same when their husband or wife dies. It is wrong. Actually, it is against the human rights of that person that you are going to inflict pain on. Number two, you cannot bring or discourse during the time of the death of your brother and then score and settle those scores, with the surviving spouse. No, because you had the time for you to bring out those when your brother was alive or when your sister was alive. You'd have sat down to discuss. In other words, for me, I can say that it is actually satanic. It is evil. It is cruel for anybody to bring those issues now that the brother or the other person died. Now you want this to be inflicted on the surviving spouse. Now the impact on the children that remain is that the children, their funeral will be double what it is supposed to be. Because instead of concentrating on school, on their business, on their work, whatever they are doing, they will now be busy mourning their mother, mourning their father. And they will regret belonging to that family because they expected sympathy. Instead of sympathy, they found cruelty, which should not be the case. I still emphasize, Himba, you friends who have gone to school and you are also Christians, you should not be near this activity, near this system, near this ceremony, near this belief, because it is cruel and it is satanic, it is evil.
Evangelist, thank you so much. There's literally when there's a bereavement in the family, the loss of a spouse, many are times mukasanga tibali bapingira ala chimona te uyu nafa lero ala twebe fyale muchita, ala chimona lero twala mwebelapo. And there's this specific group of people who never even visited, who had nothing to do with this family. You don't even know them. They never visited you, but during the funeral they would come in. And there are also comments such as what do you have to say about such comments?
Those comments are evil, they are bad. Mourning during the death of a spouse, I'll take you into science. I'll talk about science. When a person loses a beloved person who was close to their heart, what comes into their life is shock. Shock. They can't believe what has happened. Because of that shock, in most cases, they will fail to mourn or cry. Two, they will fail to talk or even give an account of what happened when this person was sick. They will not be able to explain. Or whatever you're going to talk about, they will be blank because the mind is in a state of stupor. It is not active. So to a mind that is ignorant, they will blame it on the person and say this person did not love the husband because she did not even cry, when in fact this person was in a state of a shock. And the Himba, shock varies from one person to another. Others, they can take the whole week, others the whole month. Others, they can even go bonkers in the head. They can grow bananas in the head for a certain period, even 1 year. The person is not thinking straight, especially if they loved them, especially if they depended upon them, that they provided everything for them. And now they don't know how they are going to bring up the children and how they are going to survive. So such people tend actually to be hit most. So it is not because that person did not love the other person. It is because they're in a state of shock. And we should understand that it is shock and not that they didn't like that person. Now, desiring or planning to hit back, to punch her for not mourning, for not crying, is actually evil. And in such a situation, Himba, it is important to report to the police or to the victim support unit if it is in Zambia, to the police if it is in Zambia. It is an offense. Even to point a finger at anybody, it is actually an assault. You have assaulted that person by pointing a finger at that person. That is how the law can protect an individual.
Evangelist Shaabula, thank you so much. I would also love you to comment on the situation where the spouse has been very sick for some time. Apparently, grief starts when maybe if my spouse had a stroke, for me, I would have been mourning. And at the time, maybe my spouse is being promoted to glory. For me, the pain has gone. I've mourned. And at the time when the relatives are coming, for me, I've already gone through the pain, and probably at that particular time, I'm healing. All I would love to see is the good send-off of my spouse. Please, will you shed more light on that?
Exactly. Himba, you see, most of those people that you see who mourn or cry, let me use the word, please permit me to use the word cry. Those who cry the most when their spouse dies on the burial day or when they come to the funeral house are those who have just come into contact with the death of that brother or the husband or a relative. They still have the energy. They still have the energy. They still have a fresh mind. They still have even the financial resource to do whatever they want. So those people, they still have the energy. Because they still have the energy, they can cry even the whole day. And people, the onlookers, will think that they had more love for the late person, for the deceased person, than even the wife. Maybe if it's the wife or the husband, when the husband was sick, when he was admitted in the hospital, or when he was sick in the house, this lady was spending sleepless nights attending to the husband, sleepless nights attending to the wife. So during that time, she saw the pain of that gentleman and mourned and cried at that time. Now, even tears, they've got a maximum they can go from the body. It is not all the time that the tears can come from your eyes like a tap of water. No. At a certain time, the system cuts off. There are no tears. What will be there is just the blinking your eyes and nothing comes out. Now, those people that mourn so much are the ones that have got the energy. You have done your part. Even on that day when the husband dies, you will only mourn for a short while because of what has happened. But quickly the body will acclimatize to the situation, will get used to what is there. So the people, the onlookers, they would think you have not mourned. But you and me, Himba, and those that are listening to us from today, let us understand that the surviving spouse started mourning or crying a long time ago. Now it is time for her to start thinking of how to bring up the children and how she's going to face the new life after the death of the spouse. That should be our stand. And because of that, we have a responsibility. The responsibility to ensure that that person finds her feet, that person finds his feet, in order to be able to carry with him, with her, those children who are irresponsible of herself. In most cases, Himba and Lance and everyone else, we must understand that our family members will not be there to look after our children. They will not be there. They will not be there. No matter how much they mourn, no matter how much they bring those flowers, whatever speech they are going to give, whatever help they are going to bring on the day of the funeral, that help will not continue after they've buried. And therefore, you and me, we should now concentrate on the bereaved children, wife or husband or spouse, surviving spouse, to help that person find their feet. So that is why, Himba, if there are any that have got experiences in what I'm talking about, I would love to hear from them, their contribution, so that they can guide us. Let me put it this way. Himba. You are talking to a person that has walked this path. I am speaking as a person that lost my first wife. I lost my first wife, and I know what I'm talking about. So I'm not talking fresh air. It's not just fresh air or hot air. I know what I'm talking about. So I'm talking from experience. So if there are other people that have got experiences like myself, they can join me and be able to help us so that we help our children or our listeners. Thank you so much. I'm waiting.
Thank you so much, Evangelist Shaabula. And at the moment, we've got Lawrence who have just joined us in the studio. Lawrence, please go ahead with your comment or your question.
So that is the issue.
You're welcome.
I hope we are together. So the issue here, dear colleagues, is that the topic that we have tonight is a serious topic which requires your attention. It requires your participation. Because, one, if you have not experienced it, one day you are going to experience it.
Okay. Lawrence, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Himba. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can see we have lost the evangelist. My own actually is just to comment on the notion of the whole funeral. Actually, the whole process of the funeral in general. There are a lot of aspects that I find very unfair to the deceased. To the deceased family, looking at how African tradition takes funeral in the first place. Here is a woman who has just lost her husband, or here is the husband who has just lost the wife. Okay. First and foremost, you find here is the whole community shifting to the funeral house to come and mourn. But in mourning, they will expect the person who has lost a beloved one to feed them, to find the space for them to sleep and all that. And in the end, for me, instead of helping to lighten the burden, tends to add more pressure on the person who is mourning. Here is a woman who's just lost. I think I saw this somewhere. I'd gone with a friend for a funeral where his cousin had lost the husband, and while we were still trying to console the cousin, and someone came to whisper in her ears, "There is no meal outside there." How? Honestly, and I found that very unfair and very unfortunate. I was really broken. I think first and foremost, before we even start looking at if this person was died, shaved or whatever and things like that, the most important thing for me, I think, is I think as friends, as families, and all that, we should try and reduce the burdens on the people who are mourning. I think that is where we all miss it. First and foremost, we try to go to funerals with our very own agendas, our very own personal vendettas that we have to settle, and scores to settle and all that. And in the end, we tend to actually add up more burdens. Instead of someone mourning their wives, instead of someone mourning their husbands, they have to start making calculations. How much minimum do we need today? From there, and all that. Are we helping?
You are right, Lawrence. I actually agree with you. On the other hand, as this woman or this man is making those calculations you're talking about, imagine this is a woman who've lost someone they loved. This was their partner. This was the father to their children. Apparently, this was the most closest person to their heart. This man or this woman is still in a shock, is grieving, is mourning, and we've not even given them the opportunity to mourn. Instead of us as a family, during that period they are going through that pain, we allow them to mourn, to release that pain. We are even questioning how they open their mouth. At the end of the day, we even plant guiltness in their hearts. There's a river which this woman has to cross, which we don't know, because after the burial, after everything, we leave them on their own. There's a river they have to cross from where they lived with a spouse to another side where they have to be on their own. Instead of helping them to have a bridge to cross, we'll start judging them just on the funeral. We can't even give them the time to mourn their beloved ones, even to give the last respect or dignified respect. If the way she would want her husband, the moment she would try where she saw her husband beautiful, that kind of thing. We are planting guiltness in that woman. We are actually judging that woman, or you're judging that man. Over to you, Evangelist Shaabula.
Indeed, Himba, we have a big responsibility to do. For me, I'm emphasizing on you, the young people, to change the dynamics, to change this culture. And this culture cannot only change by desiring to change, but work through the parliament. Parliament is the one which can bring change to this sinful act. So, and therefore, let's treat well the surviving spouse. Let's treat well the children. When you take away property from the children, what are you implying? What you are implying is that it was wrong for their late father or late mother to build a house for them, to buy a car for them, to buy a fridge for them, or to give them anything. It was wrong. And you want to take it away from them so that you can give it to your children, because they are more important than those children. And you yourself, you think that you will not die. Your children will live forever. And when you read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22 to 24, says, to you that take property of the deceased and inflict pain on the widows and the children. When they cry, God in heaven will hear their cry, and you'll be made orphans, and you'll be made widows or widowers. So in other words, any property that you take away from other children, to hand over to your children, you are actually transferring a funeral from their home to your children, so that they should be a funeral. They should be gout in the legs, arthritis. They should be COVID-19 in their homes. They should be, all types of sicknesses. You are actually taking them from the other home into your family. So let's run away from such, especially Christians. How can a Christian, you're a Christian, how can a Christian go to another person's home and just get a fridge? Where are you taking the fridge? Sometimes you don't have even electricity. That's why Mukeleva, you know, these roses, they always go for transformers, Zesco transformers. They want to get the Zesco transformer and take it to Western Province. This is a fridge for my family. So please, you tell Mukeleva to stop doing that and all other roses. They should not do that, because a transformer is just a transformer. It has nothing to do with the with the lady.
Thank you so much, Evangelist Shaabula. We still invite our viewers, those who've gone through this experience, and those who would love to share. Please, you're welcome to come through our studio or to write your comment. The link is just on our Facebook page. You can come through Facebook, you can come through Twitter, you can still come through in the studio. Before we bring in Lance to come and read the comments, there's one thing, Evangelist Shaabula, that you've just brought. There's a group of people which is treated so special during the funeral, any funeral, and especially when we are concentrating on the passing on of the spouse. That church group ya church. You know, at times I felt I'm sorry, I don't have issues with evangelists with the church, but I think sometimes it's too much. You are going to find, or even kudya back church nangabadya, do back church go to be looked after, or they are supposed to comfort the family? And then you're going to find that even going to this person who've lost their beloved ones, apparently with men, it's not very common. Women, they can't even give space to this woman who is mourning, who is stressed, who is grieved. They can't give her time to just have some space around her. And they're asking the same question. The church, what is the duty of the church, especially the women group, when their member has lost their beloved ones, especially the spouse? Nangabak church badia, Evangelist Shaabula. I think we've lost Evangelist Shaabula, Lawrence.
You are breaking.
I can hear him say something. I think
he's having internet problems. What do you have to say, Lawrence, on that? Church.
Well, I think the Zambian community treats church as with two hands. I should say. We look at every time we look at people from church, we look at people who have come to play a very important role, and as such, we always try to treat them so special. It is just not only at funerals. I think. I've seen situations where when even a pastor just visits a home, you see how the woman will even sokorola those to my nice plates she hides somewhere. They will come out because we are looking at someone who is special, has come to visit their house. So to some extent, the Zambian society looks at church and church members as very, very important people, and they are always treated as such everywhere, not only at funerals, but also even weddings or just a normal visit. When people from church come, you see drinks being bought and all that. I think the evangelist can pick it up from there.
Yes. You know, Himba, that's a very good point. Baku church. Baku church includes me. It includes me. It includes you. Whenever, you know, Baku church should not be a burden. They should not be a cost to the cost of the funeral. They should not be a burden to the burden that one is already carrying. Baku church, when they come, they should do the following. Number one, they should know that there where they're going, a coffin is required and money should be donated. Firewood is required. Food is required. Transport is required. The people to cook will be required. And the pallbearers will be required. And singing and preaching will be required. So the church should work out a program in which they should be able to assist their members. I want to thank you. For me, my church, I had a funeral recently. I want to appreciate the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Charleston, what they did. They did a lot of things for my family. I would be negative if I labeled all the churches to be bad. But the issue is that, sometimes they can be a burden. Now, we must ensure that when we hear that there's a funeral, it is our responsibility. Kutaunka achinkwa manza, bread hands, achinkwa manza, you just go like that, ulinavo. Ukafika kuja, you are just warming by the fireside. Not at all. You may ensure that at least you take even a loaf of bread, a packet of sugar, take a chicken, maybe a bag of mealie meal. Things like that. Be supportive, be a solution to the funeral, be an answer to somebody's cry. Not you go there, cabbage you don't want to eat, beans sufu na kudya, chameno funa ni kuku chabe na ngombe. Ngombe amene ulibewe, na kuku zamene ulibewe. That should not be the case. If you wanted to eat like that, go to your home. Because we are mourning, we shall eat what is available. So the issue here, Himba, is that church members should be a solution. They should be able to help and support the funeral. That way, it will be. We are going to have good audiences. We shall have good,
Okay, I think Lawrence. Before we have CJ who've just joined us in the studio. Before CJ comes in, would you please read the comments for us? Okay. Well, we are waiting for the comments to come through. Okay, there we go.
Okay, we have a message from Facebook coming from Caroline Chanda saying, good evening, watching from Foxdale, Nsaka. Thank you so much, Caroline, for joining us, and we hope you have liked the page and keep following us every Thursday. She also goes on to say, very true evangelist Shaabula. She seems to agree with what the evangelist was saying. Tabang Gaza says, hello guys, I am watching you from Botswana. I really appreciate your TV. Thank you so much, Tabang, and we hope you keep following us every Thursday. And Namwinga Precious Simwanza says, watching. Caroline Chanda also says, this is very interesting topic, but my request is this information can be on radio to reach people who cannot have access to internet, so that they can learn from this well-spoken evangelist. Thank you for coming through. And Ruben Jero Mulungu says, good topic, Ubuntu family. Thank you so much. Ruth Matamando says, wonderful program. Thank you so much, Ruth. She also says, my Africa, my home, I pray for change in our culture. Eunice Shaabula says, continue mentoring us. Wonderful program. Watching you from Northgate Complex. Thank you so much, Eunice. Jonathan Chipindani says, following. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Okay, I think that's what we have from the comment section at this point in time.
Oh, thank you so much, Rollins. CJ, over to you.
Evening, Himba. Evening, Lawrence. Evening, viewers. Yeah.
Good evening, CJ. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Yeah. So, my contribution will kind of draw you back And this one I needed Evangelist to hit a nail on this one. I remember in the last program, he mentioned about when a spouse dies, they'll ask if one finished paying, if they were married, that kind of a thing. So I would have loved Evangelist to comment on that one, and I hope he comes through so that he comments on that one in more detail. I don't know how you take it, where one did not, because there was a situation where two people just go to civic center, but they did not involve the family in their marriage, and then one of them dies. So at the passing of one of them, the question will be asked, were they married or not married? So in that situation, what happens? Is it wrong for the families to get into those details and find out whether the couple was actually married or not? And if they did not do the traditional requirements, if they are required now to, whether it is finish up payment or such kind of a thing. I don't know what you think of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CJ. Personally, I think I'd love we leave that comment for Evangelist Shaabula, but my opinion would be, I don't even see it necessary why somebody should be paying when somebody's dead. If these people, they went to the civic center and they were given a marriage certificate, to me they were married. And I find it very wrong to wait for somebody to die, and that's when you want to practice all these traditional practices of a marriage. If you see two people are living together, why can't the family come in and ask the elderly people, but these tradition practices were not done. Can't we do them now? Because I find it to be unfair during the funeral, or when you're going through a loss, that's when you start talking about such things. I think for me, it's literally unfair. Over to you, Lawrence.
Okay. I also think I'm also wondering actually, where have these people been at the time when before the funeral, and these two people were staying together. We are looking at people who went and got the marriage certificate. Legally, they are married, whether family was involved or not. Unfortunately, that is considered as marriage and cannot be dissolved by anyone until the High Court does so, which means that they are very much married. But in Zambia, we try to follow African tradition where we visit parents. The man has to reach the woman's parents and ask for their daughter's hand in marriage, and they have to accept, and the lobola paid and all that. But in the absence of that, in African tradition, that marriage is very questionable and probably not so much considered. But actually, in this civil kind of an arrangement, in this civil world now, that the marriage was actually there and very much considered. So it's just a question of where these people had been before the death of one of them, and why they want to take opportunity when one dies. It really makes sad reading for African tradition, really, in such cases. But I think it's happened before. I've also seen something like that. I think I mentioned last week during this very program. Evangelist, welcome back. I think you are muted.
Thank you so much, viewers. And as we are talking about the loss of the spouse, there are a number of things that happened, and let us make sure that we support the surviving spouse at that particular time. Let's not take them into victims. They look up to us, society, to move or to graduate to another. It's not something easier. And honestly, when the death has happened, we call that grief. it's just a pain. The mourning comes later, and how long they would mourn and how they are going to heal, it depends on an individual. And that individual looks up to us as the society to help them to heal and move on. And let's allow these people to live a normal life. If they have to love again, let's allow them. Let's not judge them. Over to you, Evangelist Shaabula. There's a question that is waiting for you from CJ, where these two people went to civic center, got married, and there were no traditional practices that were done, no rituals were done traditionally, and unfortunately, the other spouse is promoted to glory. Is it right for the family to start demanding for the bridal price, for all those rituals to be done? Over to you, Evangelist. You are muted, Evangelist. You are still muted, Evangelist. I think internet is failing us. What do you think, Lawrence?
Actually, I think the evangelist is there. Probably he's just pressed the mute button twice, and Okay, we seem to have lost him. I think at this point I can say.
Yeah. Lawrence, as you were saying, I've also witnessed such a. Yes, CJ, you can come through.
Yeah. So okay, these are some of the things that I've witnessed nowadays with Western influence and whatever. You find there are people who just say, okay, I can choose to marry whoever I want to marry, and then maybe with in terms of their they don't want to involve their family, whether extended or whatever. They go and do everything on their own. Now when death hits, okay, the family will come in to try to help and resolve this there and the like. Now in the event where one doesn't involve the family, how does the family come in now to offer that assistance when there was that segregation where a person did not want to involve them? As a result, like Evangelist had mentioned, you find probably maybe others would want to punish him and that kind of a thing. So how should such situations be taken? Okay, Evangelist is back.
Evangelist Shaabula.
I think we still can't hear you, Evangelist. The mic is showing is muted.
We can't hear you, Evangelist. I don't know what is happening today, Evangelist. We are not able to hear you. We can't hear you. I think we are having...
Probably the evangelist needs to restart his device and then we can be able to connect with him, I think.
Yeah. Just trying to respond to what CJ was saying, Lawrence. sometimes, I think we need also to take up responsibility. Many are times we may say, I don't need my family when I'm getting married. But to be honest, this world, no man is an island. No matter what it takes, how rich you are, how intelligent you are, one day you need a family. There's a reason why God thought each and every person should belong to a family. It's not that maybe we choose or what, there's a reason. No one can manage alone, no matter how rich you are. One day you even need somebody to carry your body to the gravesite. You need people around you. Over to you, Evangelist. I think, Evangelist, we can't hear you. May the IT personnel get in touch with Evangelist, please. Let us take it in as our responsibility. Lawrence, ngande upa. Vamayo, olo vamayo mbamwenamo, olo lupwanda lumwenamo, there's a time. It doesn't mean that we only need family because of money. Sometimes we just need our family to see their faces. All we need at times is just for them to cuddle you by the shoulder and say, my daughter, it is well. It's not even, sometimes our family don't even need money from us. So let us take responsibility. As we are moving, we understand this is a modern world. Sometimes people would not want to follow the traditional practices because of their faith. Some, they would not want to follow traditional practices because of their responsibilities. But there's a way you can do it. As much as you don't want to do some of the traditional practices or rituals, you can communicate to your family. You can place dialogue with your family, carry them on, so that the day you need to go back to them, it will be very easy for you to communicate back to your family. Not where it will literally be very difficult to communicate to your family. And sometimes we have a situation where now, even the family, we like teasing you. Olobalendira fidya balabe n'abalume babo bali ninshi. Olobalendira fidya bali n'omukashu babo bali ni kyakolwa. You may see a chakolwa in that woman, Lawrence, but your brother, that was an angel. You may have seen a drunkard man in that husband to your sister, but that man was the perfect man for your sister, and you have to respect that. You have to respect that was an angel to your sister, that was an angel to your brothers. Let us not judge the spouses of our sisters. Let us not judge the spouses of our brothers, because that's what they chose. Okay. Over to you, Evangelist. You're welcome.
Hello.
Lawrence, over to you as we wait for Evangelist to join us.
So I actually tend to agree with you. Us, the young ones, must realize that this what we read about online from Western countries, where people decide to get married and just do it the way they want and all that. It's not actually practical here to some extent. Yes, we can do it, but there is a time when you need family, Yes, we can. It's possible this time around. People can just go to the civic center and in no time they have their marriage certificate and all that. At the end of it all, there are some things that will always need family, whether you like it or not. Yes, there are people who say I'm much better off with my friends and like family, but there are issues, and most of the times we forget that actually issues of death actually tend to be the most critical, that will bring back family and will make people look for you. I always give people an example of UTH, where they always say we are looking for the family of these unclaimed bodies. It's because even UTH realizes that to some extent, even someone to be buried needs family. They will not say we are looking for friends of this dead body. They say we are looking for family of this dead body, and they'll say, "Oh, these are unclaimed bodies because there is no family that has come to say this is our own child." So it's very important that us, the young ones, understand and appreciate this fact. Every one of us needs our families. If at all you have differences in the family, try by all means to resolve those differences, especially before you get married. You may have issues with my father did this in the past and all that. But before you get married, actually, even the blessings from the parents are very important in your success, because actually the Bible even says that our parents are our earthly gods here, appointed by God himself in heaven. That shows you how important and how much value God places on our parents. And also, honoring our parents is the only commandment in the Bible that comes with a promise that you may live long. So it is important that at all stages of in life we should remember where we come from. Yes, families, I know there are issues in many families. I know and I appreciate that fact. But there is whatever problem is there, I know for a fact that it can be resolved by talking it out. And like shunning away from family, it really doesn't help. So, young lady out there, before you decide to move in with a man, make sure your family is very much aware. Even if I know sometimes some families would say no, this man is not for you, or whatever the case, I would still insist, make sure that your family is aware of your intentions to get married to that man. Make sure that as you move in, they are aware, even if sometimes they may not agree. But the fact that they are aware and also give at least I mean, at least have the knowledge that our daughter is residing with that man. It really makes a difference. And like something happens, and then they start to even start. They have to start even looking for where their daughter stays with that man. It really doesn't make a good reading. Welcome back, Evangelist.
Thank you.
Before Evangelist comes in, Lawrence, let me invite Wamkelebai in a minute. Wamkelebai, you are welcome to the program. Good evening. Wamkelebai, you are welcome to the program. Good evening. Okay, I think Wamkelebai, he's not getting us. Evangelist, over to you.
Yes. The issue, certain problems can be avoided. If you know that if you do this, this is what will be the result, or this will be the outcome. It is better for us to avoid. First of all, every human being belongs to a family. We all belong to the family. We came from families, we live in families, and we shall die in families. Even if we are now elderly and we've got our own homes, we still belong to families, our family members, where we came from. And so it is not good, dear listeners and viewers, just to decide to get married without involving your parents, your relatives, the community you are living in, the church you go to, the government, so that they also look at your marriage, whether it is lawful or not. So these are some of the things that we need to look into. When you want to get married, ensure that the marriage is lawful and the parents or relatives, they are involved. It's better that they have got a say, whether you accept it or not, but let them have a say. Number two, they should know who your husband is. They should know who your wife is. They should know where you are going to live. In the event of anything, these are the people that are going to stand with you and support you. Why should you look for family members and for their sympathy only when you die, or when your spouse dies? That's when you want their help, their assistance, their counsel, their presence. That's not right. That's why you find that there's this agitation in the families, pulling each other. Instead of mourning, people are fighting. It's because of the way we conducted ourselves when we got married, and they were not part of the program. And therefore, we should not expect them at death for them to come in and help. So if we are to avoid this, let them be part of us. Now, when they come to us, they are not actually coming there to stop us from getting married. They want to know who has married our daughter, who has married our sister, who has married our brother. That's what they want to know. And the rest of the game, how you are going to live, it is up to the two of you. So let us not demonize also family members that are just bad people. No, sometimes we create and make them devils.
I think we've reached Evangelist. Can I invite Wom Kelevai? Good evening, Wom Kelevai, and welcome to the program.
So it is important,
good evening. Can you hear me?
Dear viewers, and to understand that, you know, most of these problems that we have in our homes, they are made.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead, Wom Kelevai.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Even though I'm a little bit bedridden, but I'm enjoying the program I'm following. It's really interesting. What I wanted to just remind people over the conversation is the role of an administrator. Because there has to be somebody, when somebody has died intestate, that you have died without leaving a will, the law provides that you have to appoint somebody, because not every member of a family can go to the bank or go to the house and start claiming this or start distributing properties and stuff. The law does not allow that. The law provides that first you have to appoint somebody, either an administrator or an administratrix, if you talk about a woman, or you can go to the administrator general if you have failed to come up with one. Anybody can be an administrator, and that is the person that is going to run around and do all the necessary legal requirements, or even distributing of properties to the beneficiaries. So that was very important ingredients that I felt that we almost left out. I don't know if it was mentioned already, but I thought I should mention. And administrators, they are not entitled to any, they are not entitled to a share unless they fall under a category of those beneficiaries named by the law. That's what I know, unless there's someone with a different view. So I just wanted to clarify that. And it's the administrator, especially West Southern Province. I'm not going to go there. I don't want to. I've already been accused of getting a chigayo.
Thank you so much, Wom Kelevai. And what Wom Kelevai is just trying to say is that the property of the deceased, bali ni bayama babo, bali ni baanti babo, bayise batwakanye awe. Intambi shakumwezi. When we are talking about property, intambi doesn't exist. What comes into play is the law. As Evangelist Shaabula said in the beginning, 50% goes to the children, 20% goes to the surviving spouse, 20% goes to the parents if they are still surviving. If they are not surviving, that 20% goes to the children. 10%, it's either the dependents or ingabali kwete kwenkongola abayashi timwashi bonfya shiri angataba kwete nkongola olomwasanga there is no one who qualifies to benefit from that 10%. It goes to the children. So tekwat pantu bayama obo twachetekera ebalanda sana bayama wetesha bayama. Even if bayama baba administrator, he is not a beneficiary, he's only there to administer. Chapwa. Over to you, Evangelist.
Yeah, thank you, Wom Kelevai. When it comes to the administrator, I just want to talk about the administrator. The administrator, you can get administrators depending on the size of the estate left behind. You can get actually up to 4 administrators. 1, 2, 3, 4. Depending on the size of the estate. You can get either 1, or you can have 2, or you can have 3, or you can have 4. Not 5, but 4 is the maximum, depending on the size of the estate. The larger the estate, the more administrators you need for checks and balances. 2, no administrator has any beneficial gain in the estate of the late, not even one way, including the money that is going to use in his administration. The work of the administrator is two. Number 1 is there actually to give out to the beneficiaries. That estate should be given to the beneficiaries by the administrator. Number 2, his responsibility is to pay out debts, the people that the late owed, and he will pay them from what has been left. Not from his pocket, but from what has been left. That is the responsibility of the administrator. And also the administrator should be able to get the Nkongoles, the money which other people owed the late. It's the responsibility of the administrator to ensure that that money is paid or property is brought back and be distributed to the right beneficiaries. That is the work of the administrator. Now, what about if this administrator is found to be dishonest? Number 1, that administrator can be removed. You can go to court, not on your own. You go to court so that you can seek a fresh mandate to appoint a new administrator. Number 2, if you want, that administrator can be prosecuted for stealing, for getting that which is not his. So those are some of the penalties that are there. So administrators are not beneficiaries, but it also depends within the family. If you want to consider the administrator for the work that they are doing, you want to give them a certain percentage or some money, you can do that. You want to give them a deep freezer, you want to give them a car, you want to give them anything, you can give them, but it must be agreed on your own, and he should not ask. He should not ask for anything. It should be on your own. If he asks, then he forfeits his right to be given. Then don't give him, because he's not supposed to benefit. Yeah.
Just to add on, you forgot one part where the administrator also has the right to sue on behalf of the deceased or the estate. He can take the case to court.
Yes, he is very right. Vomkeba is right. You know, whatever the administrator is doing, he is actually doing it on behalf of the family. So he can take anybody to court. For example, if somebody has not paid back what he owed the late, he can take that matter to court. And he is not supposed to use his money. He is supposed to use the money from the deceased estate. That is what he's supposed to do. So the administrator has a responsibility. That is why it is very, very important to choose an administrator who knows what to do. And maybe if you allow me, don't choose a poor administrator who is ridden with poverty. There will be problems. Get somebody who is who understands that this is not his, who respect the property of the late.
Okay.
For example, just there. For example, you take a rose administrator. is going to marry 4 women with the property of the late. So be careful.
Evangelist, I think I have seen an instance where one of my friends in the past, the parents died, and one man offered to take care of him being the only child. So he moved in with that uncle and stayed with them for about 2 years. And in that 2 years, that uncle actually convinced him to sell the house, to agree to sell the house, which he also, to some extent, later on with time agreed, and the house was sold. And he was told that's the money he has to use to educate himself, to take himself to school. But unfortunately, the money was misappropriated by the so-called uncle, and after the money finished, was taken to the village to go and stay in the village. Now, what would be the remedy to such an occurrence?
Number one, what was the age? What was the age of this friend of yours? His age.
Actually, it was below. He was under 18 at the time.
If he was under 18, you know, the law also provides, you know, for somebody who is not able to open a bank account, cannot keep money. That money can be held in trust. Somebody else, somebody elderly, can be appointed to help that person. Now, that matter should have been reported to the police. It should have been reported to the police that this person actually sweet talked me, and I had to sell this house, and the money was not used on my education, but it was used on his family. That young man is supposed to prove to the court that actually that is what happened, and the house was sold against his wish, and the money was not used by himself. The court would help. Even for him to go to the village, that friend of yours is also, there must be something wrong. You should have consulted other people. Why should people just sell your house, then send you to go to the village? Uri muntu uri butievo.
Thank you so much, Evangelist. Thank you so much, Evangelist. And we are running out of time now. And as you always know, time has never been our friend. I'm going to start with Lawrence. Lawrence, okay. Lawrence, before you give your last and closing remarks, please read the comments. And then from Lawrence, we go to Mkelebai and then Evangelist Shaabula. You conclude.
Okay, the comments we have, Ruben Jerome Mulungu says, "Oh, Atipua administrator." I think it's a selection of the administrator. Evangelist, you said don't pick a poor administrator.
No, don't, don't. It's a Jerome. It's a very serious. This statement is very, very serious. Because I've seen people that are poor, then you expose them to money, you expose them to cows, you expose them to cars, you expose them to buildings or structures, they will swindle you. There are very few poor who are faithful. Of course they are there, but they are very few. But don't put them to test. Don't tempt them. Leave them in their poverty.
Don't tempt them with money. Okay, I think my own closing remarks are, it is very important that we keep on educating ourselves on such matters, because these are things that happen daily, and we see them in our communities and in our families. It's just something we need to learn about. We appreciate you so much, Evangelist, for all this knowledge and for taking time to share with us. I think I, for one, have learned quite a lot, and hoping that the viewers out there have learned a lot as well. So we hope that we as we learn, we put some of these things into practice and try to educate the next person to us, so that they also be in the know. Thank you so much.
Over to you, Mkelebai.
Twalumbaga pati waswilila, whatever what you call. Sorry. Litumeza hulu for listening and for sharing this wonderful knowledge. What I can only urge my fellow Zambians is to please let's take advantage of this technology that has been given to us. We have internet 24/7. We can always read on what the law says, because laws do change every day. They're dynamic, they can change, and we have to update ourselves. Let's inculcate this culture of reading. Let's not feel lazy. Otherwise, all this information that you hear us talking about, it is in black and white, written by, it's in the black and white, and the laws are there, and the customs are there. So we can also consult from elders. So otherwise, it was a wonderful program, and I just want to wish everyone have a very good evening and enjoy your. Is it your holidays? Are they in holiday in Zambia? Is it 4 days holiday or it's finished?
The holiday is over.
Okay, I was still behind then. And Otwalumbakapati muzue hande mupile hande and consult. And the one thing I wanted to say was also, please be advised that it is better to appoint an administrator who was close to the deceased, especially the surviving spouse or the children. That way, it will be easy and for them to run around and transact any monies or other issues they wish to pursue. Of course, family members can be there at a distance watching, or there can be a second administrator, as Shaabula put it. Otherwise, it was a wonderful conversation and topic. Muzuwe hande mpilande.
Thank you so much, Mkelebai. Over to you, Evangelist Shaabula.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues. This is a very important topic, and I want to urge you to look out and to be careful. Get married in the right way, and do not throw away your family because of your education, because of exposure, because of being a Christian. You need the family, because even in death, you need the family. Do not criticize them because of their lack of education or understanding of things. Work with them and help them, because one day you will need them. 2, let's not victimize those that are left behind. They need our support, they need our encouragement. Because the third part, even us one day we shall go the same way, when we shall need somebody to stand by our side and comfort us and encourage us. And because of this, it is also important to prepare a will, so that your property will not be divided and be given to people that are not supposed to get it. Because certain people, they will only get it only to start marrying so many women. Others will get it only to go and drink and make your children poor. So let's ensure that we prepare a will, and that we get the right administrator. A lot of administrators, they brought pangs, they brought wars on the lives of the children. So I'm still repeating, poor administrators, those who are ridden with poverty, be careful. They are going to rise, on the wealth of your children that you have left behind. Ensure that you get the right person. And above all, let's be united in our families and work together. It has been a wonderful show, a great show. I enjoyed the questions. I enjoyed the contributions. To everyone that contributed, please keep it up and keep on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, viewers. As we leave, We encourage you to support our friends who lose their beloved ones in the family at community level, and let us allow them to move on and to integrate into society in a positive way. Do not judge them. Let us not point fingers at them. Losing a spouse, it's not something easier. Losing somebody you loved so much, it's something very, very difficult, and something which you need a lot of support spiritually, physically, emotionally. You need a lot of support from all angles. And in such a dynamic or a difficult situation, number one, we need to hold on to God. The second, it's the family we need. Thank you so much, viewers, for being with us, and good night. We'll be with you next week. Good night and bye-bye.